This is the Honourable the Minister responsible for Women and Gender Equity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and always an honour to speak in this honourable House. I find that these sorts of sittings at this time of night, usually 8:30, as we are here now, the conversation tends to get a bit lighter and I guess more pleasant, you know. But that said, though, we often have pleasant conversation and productive conversation in the House ongoingly, no matter what the topic is. But certainly it is a National Volunteer Week, and I want to thank my volunteers. I spoke earlier this week, but I can't emphasize enough, you know, what it means to have the support from the people in our district, and we can all relate here because we're, you know, literally all in the same boat across all 40 districts, how important it is, because we certainly couldn't do this alone. And this being an interim supply bill, that gives us the liberty to talk about the things, such as the things that are important and the people in our district. So I'm going to just take my memory back and yours, and for the people watching at home. I mean, I took on this journey, and most of us did here, a lot of us did back in 2015 and actually the year prior to that, you know, gearing up, of course, to run and to get nominated and all those fun things. And I just want to thank the people from years ago, ultimately 2014 when I started campaigning. And it is interesting to note, Mr. Speaker, and we can all appreciate that, you know, from that time, there's a lot of people, you know, who supported all of us, who are simply not with us now. I mean, so many people in my district, I know, I mean, the list unfortunately continues to grow, but have passed away since that time when I very first started. And, you know, but, you know, you don't forget there's the stories, the nice stories that stays with you, or the kind things and the genuine support. And although, you know, the challenges that we face in every election, people go out of their way to do what they can to cast their ballot for you. And I'll be forever grateful for that. A couple of stories I'm going to tell. It was back actually in the 2015 election. It was a fall election, because I think we've campaigned in every season now. We're like the four seasons in here, Mr. Speaker. I think that, so the very first one was indeed a fall election in November, and I'll never forget my good friend, the MP for who represents the area out in Grand Falls, Scott Sims, good friend of mine, and he came out.
Order, please. Lower the volume, please. Thank you.
And so he came out, of course, you know, from his riding, his federal riding, to give me a hand out in the beautiful district, the strong district of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. And I'll never forget, it was Mrs. Marie Brazel, and she's an elderly lady in the town of Spaniards Bay, someone I've known forever. She can remember me when I was a little girl going to church in Spaniards Bay, going to Mass. And Scott and I knocked on her door one evening, and she came out. She was all excited, and it was around supper time. And I'll never forget this story. You know, she had her hands. You know, she was making meatloaf, Mr. Speaker. So she was, you know, in the early stages of making the meatloaf, and she had, you know, the onions and the ingredients over her hands. But she still came out and answered the door, and we had a chat. And she, you know, told me how proud she was of me. And of course, before she left, she gave me a big hug. You know, when she had all those onions and meat over her hands. I'll never forget. It got in my hair. And of course, we were still campaigning, and all night going around Spaniards Bay, knocking on doors on Brazel's Hill in particular. I had the smell of the meatloaf and the onions in my hair, but, you know, I didn't complain, because, you know, that was love, you know, and to this very day, that support is still strong. So some of those stories, of course, that I'll just keep with me forever, and be forever grateful for. And it is a privilege and an honor to represent the people, because it's the people who put us here. And as we can all appreciate, we all have different priorities in our district, as we heard members talk about all night, whether it be a swimming pool, whether it be a primary school. In my case, Coley's Point Primary, of course, with a list of other priorities. But you'll never forget those stories. And it is National Volunteer Week, and we can't do this without volunteers. And despite the challenges, Mr. Speaker, that, you know, we have during the campaigns, those volunteers stay by you. And my team, I mean, we went from, you know, calling the election. It was, number one, it was a winter campaign this time, so of course we had to battle with Jack Frost, I guess, you know, Mr. Speaker, and snowbanks, and you name it. And but I got to say, my team were there for me, and, you know, we got out. And I'll never forget, of course, actually one of my campaign manager, George Warford. He's a sweetheart of a man. He's been with me from the very beginning, and still is. Him and his wife Donna. And George and I were out, of course, campaigning one night. Actually, I mean, it could have been January, when it was still okay to go around and knock on the doors. And we had our masks on, and we were all bundled up with our toques and our hats. And we were down in the dark, and this was on a side road in Bay Roberts. And we were going down. We had the masks on and the hats. Mr. Speaker, I see you shaking your head.
Thank you.
Thank you for your protection, Mr. Speaker. There you go. Thank you for your protection. But anyway, and so where was I? So on a side road in the town of Bay Roberts, and George and I were down and knocking on doors. We had our masks on, as I mentioned, and our bundled up in our toques. And one resident said, "Is that you?" He said, "You're down here." I guess he didn't know who I was. He said, "You're down here tonight looking for your cat, aren't you, Mr. Speaker? Aren't you? You're looking for your cat." And I said, "No, my friend, I'm down here tonight looking for your vote." So, it's just these funny things that you'll always hang on to. And then he said, "Oh, that's you, Pam." So again, I just want to send my heartfelt thanks, of course, to the people of Harbour Grace, Portagrave. I'm very proud of the district I represent. I grew up in the town of Spaniards Bay, of course, and I'm now currently living in the neighboring town of Bay Roberts. And we are an expanding district, an expanding powerful region in CBN out there in Conception Bay North. So I invite all my honourable colleagues, this summer on a staycation, if you're looking for somewhere to go, there's lots of great things to see and do in our great district. And of course, I look at my colleague across the way in the neighbouring district of Harbour, Maine, another beautiful district, actually where my parents live. So of course, my heart is part of my heart's in Harbour, Maine as well, always will be. So again, I want to thank the people who put me here, and I'm certainly always going to do my best to represent them, their needs, and anything I can do. Again, I want to throw out my big thanks to my constituency assistant, Lisa Brown. And our number at the constituency office is 786-1372. So if there's anything we can do to help, certainly give us a call. And I'm happy to say, we work collaboratively with all levels of government, the municipal governments in the district. The Joint Council of CBN is also a very important body, of course, out there that they voice their concerns and for the priorities. And as well as our federal government, I want to throw hats off as well to my friend and my colleague, MP Ken MacDonald. He's been there as well, and always takes the time to come out and have a fun time knocking on doors with me, and we get to announce a lot of projects together and join on projects and to support the people. So again, I want to send my thanks to him. So it is getting late. It's almost 25 to 9 here, and I appreciate everybody's getting a little bit antsy. Maybe some people need a snack, chocolate or coffee or something, and everybody's a bit chatty, but that's the nature of this, and we do sign up for this work. And I mean, it's not a 9 to 5. It's a 24/7 gig. I think we can all appreciate. But that said, I'm confident that everybody puts their name forward here to do this, is here to represent their people. And we hear that in the passion that, that we hear the stories that everybody talks about. And I consider everybody friends and colleagues, and we work together. We work on committees. We work on all-party committees. And I've, had the privilege of working on a number of committees over the years since I started in 2015, and to go to conferences. And when we go and travel to conferences in places like New Brunswick or wherever all over the country, where there's a team, we're known as the Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. And people love us. They tend to flock to us. We're known for our good nature, how hard we work, and for our hospitality and just, the fun-loving people that we are. And I'm very proud. And, despite the times, we're going to have challenging times. Arguably, we are in the most challenging fiscal time in our history. But that said, we're here for the long haul. And I'm here, and I'm confident that everybody in this room certainly is, as well as the staff and that we see here. You guys are here late at night as well. I look around, and they're here when we are. The security staff as well. So a big thanks to everybody who contributes to do their part for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. Again, thank you to the people. Thank you to my campaign team. I love you all. We had the change, of course, to a virtual campaign toward the end of things, but we met every morning on Zoom. We would have our Zoom meetings, and it was fun, and it helped us to be kept that cohesion among the campaign. But I'm very grateful for the experiences and the support that my constituents continue to show me. I had 71% of the vote this time in the election. I'm very grateful, and I will do everything I can to represent you, with virtue, with honesty, and of course to do the absolute best I can. I'm one of them. I'm proud of them, and I always say when I speak, especially to students, Mr. Speaker, always focus on where you want to go. Focus on your goal, but never forget where you came from. So on that note, Mr. Speaker, I will take my seat again here tonight. And again, I'm grateful to be here, and thank you to the people of the Harbour Grace Portagrave District.
Thank you.